Hello, genealogists and family historians. I'm Coach Carol, and welcome to our tutorial on how to create your very own genealogy podcast. Whether you're a seasoned genealogist or just starting to explore your family tree, this guide will help you share your passion and your stories with the world. To get started, I will show you how you can use my GPT-9, the Genealogy Podcaster. This is one of 10 GPTs that I've created for genealogy. Creating a podcast can be a daunting prospect, but when you break it down into manageable steps, then you'll find the process much easier. And this is one of the great ways in which the GPT-9 can help you do exactly that. I'll show you in a moment how I've asked specific prompts to get some structure into my own podcasts. But first, let me show you the GPT-9 Genealogy Podcaster. You'll see that I'm in my ChatGPT 4 account with the GPT-9 showing on the screen. And this is what it will do for you. Assist you in planning your podcasts, and it's tailored to offer educational content in a friendly tone to appeal to a broader audience. Also gives valuable insights and suggestions for content. And there are a couple of questions that you can begin with straight away, such as suggest a podcast topic about genealogy or ideas for podcast episodes on family history. Provide assistance in planning a podcast series or create creative ideas for planning, plotting and outline your podcast series. Let's begin with this one. Provide assistance in planning a podcast series. And immediately the GPT-9 comes back with a series of suggested steps that you would take. And the first one is define your angle. Second, series structure. 3, episode ideas, including case studies. Then content research. Then a little bit about recording and editing, how to promote it, your feedback and adaptation, and some final thoughts. I could dig a little deeper and ask it to provide some assistance on where and how I create the podcast audio. So let's do that. My prompt is, what tools can I use to record the audio episodes for my podcast series? And in particular, describe how the audio could be done using Zoom, which is my favorite tool for creating them. Let's see what it says. The genealogy podcaster needs to think for a moment and comes back with, again, some very useful instructions for 1, setting up Zoom for podcast recording, making sure that you've got high quality audio settings, that you've got a good microphone, a wired internet connection, headphones, quiet environment, and then how do you record the episode? Schedule the meeting, start the recording, and monitor the audio levels. The next step is post-production, where you might edit and enhance it, and follows up with some advantages for using Zoom. And the final paragraph is definitely true for me. Although Zoom was not specifically designed for podcasting, its widespread use, ease of access, and robust features makes it a viable option for podcasters, especially when you're starting out. Many of us have Zoom skills and can be applied immediately to our podcasting journey. So one of the first things that it suggested was to work out what we are going to be podcasting about. And in one section, you might define your niche and your audience. So your podcast should have a clear focus. For example, are you diving into specific regional histories, offering tips for beginners, or exploring the world of AI or DNA testing? Knowing your niche helps tailor your content. Then think about your audience. Are they hobbyists, experts, or maybe family members curious about their roots? So you might need to get some niche ideas and potential audience groups to consider for your podcast series. Then you would plan your content. You might want to start with a list of episode themes and maybe mix up foundational topics with deep dives into specialized areas. So I'll show you some of the ways in which you can use GPT-9 to help you with all of that. So using Zoom for your podcast recordings can be a game changer. You might want to consider how you could have interviews with guests from different locations. And with a bit of preparation and attention to detail, you can achieve great sounding audio that makes your podcast professional and engaging. All right, so we know the nuts and bolts. Now we need to know a little bit more about the content. And I'm going to ask this prompt. Give me a set of topics that I might use for a podcast series of episodes on using AI for genealogy. I might be more specific here and say 10 topics. See what it does with that. So keeping in mind that the podcaster is doing all sorts of different things for you, depending on what you want from it. So in this case, it's giving me a set of suitable topics that I might include, such as introduction to AI, AI tools for deciphering historical documents, enhancing historical photos, AI and DNA analysis, predictive modeling, ethical considerations, case studies, and the future of AI and genealogical research. Might even be an interview with an AI genealogy expert, something I plan to do in the very near future. And then how to get started with AI and genealogy. And it finishes with this paragraph about each episode can offer a blend of educational content, technical insights, and engaging stories to help your audience understand and appreciate the role of AI in uncovering our past. So with that in mind, I'd like it to dig a bit deeper with this one here that I'm going to be planning very soon. So I want to outline this. Just copy that. And I'd like it to include a short social media post to promote it. So now it's giving me an outline for what the podcast will consist of, from an introduction, the guest's journey, current projects, AI and genealogy, benefits and challenges, advice for enthusiasts, the future of AI, and a Q&A with listeners. Even a little bit of information about the key takeaways that could be done, and an outro to keep listeners engaged. And then, exactly as I've asked for, a social media post that will promote this particular episode in the podcast series. And it does that with emoticons and emojis and even hashtags. So you've got the whole thing all ready to go. So that's a very useful way to use the podcaster. And with that in mind, now I need a short script for me as the host for number 9. See what it does with this. So we've got a heading, Episode 9 Script, Interview with AI Genealogy Expert. We might have some intro music, and I'll show you an example of that in a moment. So introduce the guest, ask questions of the guest, and the guest will discuss and share their journey, current projects, provide an overview, benefits and challenges, and it gives me those pieces that I need to say in between each of those responses from the guest. So it keeps me on track. And so what I would do there, if I'm doing this in Zoom where I'm interviewing live and in person, I would have that set of notes as my prompts or my notes in Zoom. So I'd simply make a copy of that and paste it in place. So the next thing to do is to consider, where do we put these podcast episodes once we've got the audio recorded and possibly edited? Where are they going to go? I use podcast.co, and I have a couple of podcast series happening in here. This is the newest one called AI and the Genealogist. Just 3 episodes here to start with a couple of these engaging headings. And you can simply play these. So if I play this one, it should start. Let's go to this one, start with the music. And that gives a nice little intro to the podcast episode. When I'm creating the content for the episodes, here I am behind the scenes in my Podco account, and you can see that I've got this one, the 3 episodes. I have others that I've been working on, but if I want to add a podcast, I would do that here, and we would give that a new name. So it would be a public show, and you might give this podcast a name based on something that ChatGPT has provided for you. So I'd put the name of the podcast here and then select its primary category, which would be education, how-tos, and any subcategories that you want. And it might be to do with how-to, and a short description, how technology is changing the way we research and preserve family history. And then click next. We need the language. I missed one of these. That needs to be in English. Click next. And this will be the name of the podcast link, which is fine. And then you would upload an image to illustrate that. So I've uploaded one of the images that was created through ChatGPT, and then I can create my podcast. So it's a fairly simple process to get your podcast started. And then the fun begins, where you upload each episode. And you simply upload from your recordings, and you would be looking for your audio, your MP3s or M4As that you have created. And away you go. And you can build in intros and outros here. So if you want music at the beginning, you might upload a little piece of free music or make your own. And then you would share and publish, and it will be distributed to Spotify and a range of others. So this is one way that I do my podcasting. But coming back to ChatGPT, Here is where I got that title from, right here. And that was in response to example episode ideas for genealogists who are doing podcasting for genealogy. There's a few other suggestions there that you might find appealing. The basics of building a family tree, DNA testing, if that's your field of expertise, or maybe a case study episode where you walk through a research problem, or interview with genealogy experts. So a whole range of things that you might do. So coming all the way back to our GPT-9, keep in mind that you can use this if you've got a ChatGPT-4 account, and I'll put the link for this GPT below the video. So I hope that you have some success with using a genealogy podcaster to get started in selecting a topic, planning your content, and perhaps going even further and asking for advice on the technical setup. What kind of microphone do you need? Or what and how do you do your recording and production? Or even, where am I going to store this? Just like mine in podcast.co, you might get some further advice from this GPT-9 as to where you can host your podcasts. So you're almost ready to start your genealogy podcast journey. Remember, the goal is to share your passion for family history and connect with others. So happy podcasting. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below whether you've had any success, or are you already a genealogy podcaster? Thank you for watching. We'll be back again soon.